Greetings, Clare Primary School Search Committee. This is Kip Knight, and I want to first of all say thank you very much for the invitation to create this audio of the questions for the second round of the interview for the Clare Primary School Principalship. So the presentation contents will include being professional, being part of a highly functioning team, strengths and weaknesses of Clare Primary School, hallmarks of strong classroom management, observing instruction, effective evaluation process, the practice of inclusion, and then championing the needs of students. First, being professional. I'm going to borrow some phrasing from our International Baccalaureate program that we've been working towards or working part of. We call them profiles and attitudes. So one of the attitudes that I often refer to as being honest, and that's integrity, being honest and having a considered sense of fairness, respecting themselves, others, and the world around them, empathy for others, able to project themselves into other situations in order to understand thoughts, reasons, and emotions. Being an effective communicator, we collaborate effectively, listen carefully, very, very important, to the perspectives of other individuals and groups. And finally, being principled, act with the integrity and honesty with a strong sense of fairness and justice and with respect for the dignity and the rights of people everywhere. Number two, being part of a highly functioning team. The description of that, again, the attitudes of professionalism that I just mentioned, a clear understanding of expectations, vision and goals. Examples. Well, the current building that I'm working in is a young fives through grade 5 building, and that is probably the pinnacle to me of a highly functioning team. We've been very effective, even under limited budget, ups and downs. We have been a stellar group working together. Other examples would be school improvement teams that I have been part of, science, math, and writing. And currently also is our K-12 curriculum committee that I'm the co-chair of. We have recently redefined goals, roles, and parameters. And prior to that, we've been a highly functioning team. And that's just, again, going back to those attributes of professionalism, of respect, and effective listening. Number three, strengths and weaknesses. And my first strength is for Clare Primary School is going to be the English language arts as looked at in the M-STEP. And what I try to put together is a cohort group, and this would be the class of 2024. This year is not on there because we don't have those results yet, but last year's sixth graders, and I trace that all the way back to third grade. I would claim this as a strength for Clare Primary School. Reason being is your scores are above the state average. Even though a slight downtrend, they're clearly above the state average. And that's a cohort group. My next area, we would classify it as a weakness, and that would be the component of math on the M-STEP. Reason being on that, I would classify that as a weakness is the scores of Clare Primary School are below that of the state average and in blue, and they continue to decline. And a little slight rebound in last year's sixth grade group. But again, I look at cohort groups to get an idea of, as they go through the grades, as they go through the years, how do they perform? So what would we do for that? The strategy involved, assemble a team of stakeholders, so that'd be a school improvement committee. In that, I have worked with staff, parents, business, community members, and potentially students. I want to hear what they have to say. We'd set some goals. We'd openly discuss data, look at trends, explore all possible challenges ahead that confront us. Certainly, and really important, narrow the focus. We have to not try to do everything. We have to pick a few key components, explore all possible approaches, choose those approaches, and then begin a cycle, whether it's monthly, yearly, which entails reviewing and reflecting. Next section, number 4, classroom management, staff perspective. And this is true in so many professions, but it's all about the relationships. They need to feel safe and cared about. They have to have a sense of belonging, fairness, clear expectations. We have currently in the building I'm in essential agreements posted throughout the building, and it has been very, very a great reference as we go through our days and our months and year. Define procedures and routines, so those habits that we get our students into so we can focus on the world of teaching and learning. Modeling. That is so important for our students. We practice that often, especially when they forget. And continued practice. We always continue to coach and correct. They're young people. They're going to need a chance to improve. And then, of course, engaging lessons, giving them a sense of purpose and direction in their day. And observing instruction, the foundations. These are quotes I would love to hear students saying or saying at home at the dinner table. Fun, I like coming to school. It's inspirational, inquiry-based. You make me want to discover and understand. Teachers I have are patient and forgiving, and thanks for helping me catch up. Growth mindset, very, very important from my perspective. I'll learn from the past and keep moving forward. Empathetic, I can tell you've walked in my shoes. And grit, stamina, and persistence. Despite failure, you encourage me to keep trying. The technical components of observing instruction. The classroom teacher understands, identifies, and defines where the students are going and how they'll get there. They communicate that. They have an effective use of learning targets. Formative assessments, we are growing in that area as well. Some success criteria that's defined for them. A blend of whole group instruction, small group instruction, independent work, and of course interventions when we identify those groups that need additional support. All right, observing instruction. What does it look like and sound like? Well, I believe that a classroom is a laboratory of learning, and it's both where students and staff go to work, so we want it to be fun. A good classroom looks welcoming. It is inspiring. It feels safe to make mistakes there. Learning can sound both quiet and, I guess we could say, loud. Sometimes it's quiet and focused, and sometimes it's busy and full of that great energy that kids have when they're excited. Evaluation process. An effective evaluation system involves a balanced approach focused on instruction, management, student growth, one that supports professional growth through professional development, observational feedback, modeling, and analysis of student growth. And we're really coaching our teachers to improve. They're dedicated individuals, and they're always looking for some support, some tips. We always are. That's that growth mindset. Practice of inclusion. When an individual education plan is written, we have to ask ourselves which environment allows for success and individual goals to be met. We have to consider the least restrictive environment. Inclusion versus pull-out versus push-in, and the benefits of a regular education classroom dynamics versus, say, a resource room, and inclusion versus pull-out program that should be dependent on the level of the student needs. So just depending on where they are with their needs and what their IEP might proclaim. Championing the needs of students ahead of the needs of adults. This was a good question. It really made me think hard. I will start with some positives here. So I've been considered a pioneer with certain aspects that I've created, morning movement and outside learning. So getting the kids up and outside for 10, 15 minutes first thing in the morning, getting their bodies ready to sit and learn for a little bit. Hands-on learning and tech prep. So looking at the pictures there, getting kids active, engage their mind. That makes for a very accessible learning day or week. Creation of Recess Nordic skiing program. We worked with Nordic Rocks, and we had kids out cross-country skiing very often at recess, and that really helped with those unstructured times. Biz Kids and integration of learning with local community and classroom. So really tying in our learning with local community members, getting them to come into the classroom, and then allowing our students to, again, get out into the community, visit businesses. So why was this putting student needs ahead of adults? Well, this is extra work. And you have to get people to want to go out and do these things with kids, get them outside their comfort zone, and really expand the horizons of the students beyond the classroom. Last one, championing the needs of students ahead of the needs of adults. What this one was going to entail was some difficult situations. Students, as bold and confident as they may seem, have a fragile component. That is, they are a work in progress. I have had to recently discuss poor treatment of a student that was imposed by a staff member with the administrative team. standing up respectfully, of course, to staff that believe that their conduct is acceptable, but is contrary. And I have a high ethical